Today we're going to be taking a look at a home router firewall to keep your network secure, the Firewalla Gold SE. The Gold SE features two 2.5 gigabit Ethernet interfaces and 2 gigabit Ethernet interfaces and is jam-packed with features. With multiple interfaces, we could do multi-WAN, which is great for failover of our ISP connections. Some of the features that come with the Firewalla SE are VPN server and client, intrusion detection, vulnerability scanning, and geo-IP filtering. Now let's get started with the initial setup, which is very simple to do. To get started with the Firewalla SE, we need to download the Firewalla app for either iOS or Android. After that, we need to plug our WAN connection into port 4, and then we need to scan the QR code on the back. I'm now logged into the Firewalla app on my iPhone, and there's a few things that we could do. If you had a previous installation, you could restore from a backup, but what we're going to do, we're going to set up as new. Now it says use Gold as a router, and there is a couple options. We could say yes, set up as a router, or add it to an existing network. We're going to set it up as a router. Now in the next step, it says connect to your modem. So we need to be plugged into port 4, which we currently already are. So this is going to set up, and we don't want to shut it down during the setup process. Now the initial setup is done, we could press get started, and this is going to bring us to the dashboard of our firewall. We can see at the top, we have this search bar, and then we have customize your Firewalla, which we could do a custom dashboard if we'd like. And then we also have join local networks. So we need to connect your devices to local networks to get protected. I don't have anything plugged into this. We're just going to do a pretty basic overview. And if you'd like a more advanced overview, let me know in the comments below. But we can see below, we also have our network performance and then flows within the last 24 hours, which we don't have any flows because I totally reset this box. Under it, we have one device connected, and then we have 2 rules. Scrolling down, this is where we could do all of our configuration with our network, our routes, our smart queue, our VPN initialization, and our ad blocking if we'd like, and we have some other services. Now with the Firewalla, they do have a web GUI, but you're probably going to want to do most of the stuff through your mobile app. I prefer to do stuff through the web GUI, but it is very limited. Now, how do we create other networks or other VLANs? Well, all we need to do is click on this network icon. Once we bring that up, it brings the network manager. You could see that we just have one LAN, which is at 192.168.144.1/24. And then we have our ISP1, which is on DHCP. We could also do link aggregation if we'd like. But to add a new network, all we need to do is click create new network. And then we have our WAN connection, we have our local network, we have guest, and then we have a lockdown network. So our local LAN or our VLAN, this is going to allow us to do inter VLAN communications. Our guest network will just allow us to go out and talk to the internet and not see any other networks. And then lockdown network is a complete isolated network, and it can't go out to the internet. The first network that I'll create is a camera network, and that will be done under our local network. So we'll click on that. And then the name, we could change that over to cameras. Now this is where we could either create a LAN or we could create a VLAN. If we create a LAN, we're going to select the port that we want this network to be on. So on port 3, but I'm just going to create it as a VLAN. Now whatever port your switch is connected to, that's where we want this VLAN going down to. So we're going to say that it's on port 1. Scrolling down a bit, we have a different template, and then we have our IP settings. I'm just going to leave everything at default, and it does have its own DHCP server, and then we're going to press save. One thing that we forgot to put in was our VLAN ID, and I'll just put in 205 to match the 3rd octet of our subnet, and then press save. Now you can see we have 2 different networks created. We have our LAN network, and then we have our camera network, which is just on port 1. Our LAN network is on ports 1 to 3, and then port 4 is for our ISP connection. Let's go ahead and create one more. We'll do a lockdown network. We'll call this lockdown or secure. And we're going to also have this a VLAN, and we'll give it a VLAN ID of 112. Scrolling down, we're going to put that back on port 1 again because this is connecting to our switch, and then we're just going to leave everything else on default and then press save. We now have 3 different networks created: our camera network, our LAN network, and then our secure network. On our downstream switch, we need to make sure that these VLANs are configured for it to be able to work. Underneath of our networks, we have the run network diagnostics, and this is going to test our ISP connection. It's going to obtain the IP address, a ping test, and a DNS lookup. Once it's done, we could see that it's all successful, and the DNS lookup was going to github.com. We could also edit our test targets. So if we want to have something other than the default, we could do that. Now, another nice feature that's built right into the Firewalla is our vulnerability scanning. So we could click on scan, and then we have a few different options. We could do external open ports, and then we could do scan system vulnerabilities. I'm not going to do any of these because there's nothing on this network currently. We also have the ability to do some sort of ad blocking. So if we click on ad blocking, we could turn it on. Now there's a few different options that we have. We have our mode, which is set to strict. If we click on that, we could set it back to our default, which I think is just on strict. And then it applies to all devices. If we didn't want this on all devices, we could say specific device, and then we could add the device, or we could add the full network. Like I said, this Firewalla is jam-packed with features. This is just the basic stuff right on the dashboard. If we click the more icon, you could see everything that we could do. We could do active protect, we could do ad block, DDNS, Firewalla web. Scrolling down, we have our data usage, device port scan, so on and so forth. We also have smart queues. So if we want to have our voice traffic to go first, we could set that up. And that's going to be it for my video on the Firewalla Gold SE. And I really do like this device and how simple it is to set up through the app. We didn't do a deep dive, so let me know in the comments below if you want that. It is a little bit pricey at $449, but it does come with those two 2.5 gigabit Ethernet interfaces and the other two 1 gigabit interfaces. If you use Firewalla, let me know in the comments how you like it. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. If you're new here, please subscribe and hit the bell icon, and we'll see you in the next one.